Okay, picture this. Your cousin just got married. Big fat Indian wedding, the whole tamasha. And somewhere between the haldi ceremony and the reception, your mausi pulls you aside and goes, "Beta, तूने सोना खरीदा? Property देखी? यही तो real investment होता है." And you smile, you nod. Because what are you going to do? Argue with mausi at a wedding? But here's the thing. In the back of your head, a tiny voice is going, "Wait, is she actually right?" Because you grew up hearing this. Gold is safe, property is legacy. These are the two commandments of middle class Indian wealth. And if you are sitting here watching this video right now, it's because somewhere deep down, something doesn't add up for you. The math feels off, but you can't quite put your finger on why. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why. And full disclosure, some of the numbers I'm going to share today actually surprised me while I was researching this, including one number that is going to make gold sound amazing for about 30 seconds. Stay with me. My name is Rohan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, hardworking Indian middle-class families keep making the same two financial mistakes generation after generation, despite having the best intentions in the world. If you are someone who earns a decent salary, tries to save regularly, but still feels like your money is not actually growing the way it should, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up helping you out. Alright, let's get into it. Here's what I want you to understand before we even touch the numbers. The financial beliefs that most Indian middle-class families hold were designed for a completely different era. Your parents and grandparents, brilliant people, survivors, they built their financial instincts during a time of genuine uncertainty. License Raj, bank nationalizations, limited financial products, a rupee that was constantly losing ground. In that world, gold and land were the two things nobody could take from you. Governments couldn't regulate them away, inflation couldn't fully destroy them. They made complete sense then. But here's what most people don't realize. It is 2026 and we are still making 1980s decisions with 2026 money. And it is costing us. Not always in the way you expect. Let me show you. Look, I'm not here to tell you gold is evil. I want to be very clear about that. Gold has a place. But the way most Indian middle-class families hold gold is fundamentally broken. And to explain why, I need to give you the real numbers first because the real numbers are actually more dramatic than most finance YouTubers tell you, in both directions. Right now, as of February 2026, gold is trading at approximately 1,59,000 rupees per 10 grams in India. That is not a typo. 1,59,000 rupees. Internationally, prices are sitting around $5,100 per ounce, driven by US-Iran geopolitical tension, relentless central bank buying from China and India, and a structurally weaker dollar. When you layer India's import duty and a rupee that has steadily softened, you get to that domestic price. Now let's look at what that means over 10 years. In 2016, gold was roughly 28,000 rupees per 10 grams. Your 100 grams, total cost including making and GST, around 3 lakh rupees. Today that 100 grams is worth 15.9 lakh rupees. Your 3 lakh rupees became 15.9 lakh rupees. That is a CAGR of approximately 18% per year. Now here's the part that should genuinely shock you. The Nifty 50 over the same 10 years, from around 8,185 to roughly 25,500, delivered approximately 12% CAGR. Gold beat the Nifty by 6 percentage points per year for a decade. I'm telling you this because I refuse to play games with the data on this channel. Gold as a raw asset has been extraordinary over the last 10 years. If your Mossy bought gold coins in 2016 and locked them away, she won. Fair is fair. So then why am I still saying this is a trap? Here's where it gets really interesting. Because almost nobody in the Indian middle class holds gold the way I just described it. They hold it as jewelry. And the moment you put it in jewelry form, that 18% CAGR story falls completely apart. Let me show you the actual maths. You buy a necklace with 1 lakh rupees in gold value, add 15% making charges and 3% GST. You paid around 1,18,500 rupees. Now, using realistic gold appreciation of about 9% per year over 5 years, that gold value grows to approximately 1,54,000 rupees at resale. Your gain, roughly 35,500 rupees on 1,18,500 rupees over 5 years. That's a CAGR of roughly 5.5%. And we haven't counted locker charges. A typical bank locker runs 3,000 to 5,000 rupees per year. Over 10 years, that's another 40 to 50,000 rupees quietly walking out the door, shaving your effective CAGR down another 0.5%. So the gold coin in a locker, 18% CAGR. The gold necklace in the same locker, closer to 5%. Same asset, same locker, completely different financial outcome purely because of the form in which you held it. That's the trap, not gold, the packaging. So why do we keep buying jewelry as investment? This is the fascinating part, and I think this matters more than the math. Because gold feels permanent, it feels like proof. There is something deeply human about being able to hold your wealth in your hands. You can't hold a mutual fund. You can't show a Nifty index to your relatives at a wedding, but you can drape gold around your neck and everyone in the room instantly understands this family is doing well. Gold is not just a financial asset in India, it's a social signal, it's generational communication. It says, I worked hard, I saved, I'm providing for my family. And I say all of this with genuine respect, not sarcasm. These are real psychological needs. The problem is that we are paying a financial premium to meet a social need and we are calling it investment. The shift I want you to make is separate the social function of gold from the investment function. If you actually want gold exposure in your investment portfolio as a hedge, as a diversification, as a small position tracking that 18% CAGR story, use the right instruments. Sovereign gold bonds when the government issues new tranches, or gold ETFs like Nippon India Gold ETF. Here's why sovereign gold bonds specifically are the most underused product in Indian personal finance right now. First, no making charges, no GST, zero storage cost. Second, they historically paid 2.5% interest per year on top of gold price appreciation. Physical gold pays you nothing while it sits there. Third, and this is the one almost nobody talks about, if you are the original allottee and you hold the bond to its full 8-year maturity, your capital gains are completely tax-free, not taxed at 12.5%, zero. Post-Budget 2026, this benefit is restricted to original holders going to maturity. If you buy SGBs on the secondary market or sell early, normal LTGC rules apply. So this is specifically the original allottee full maturity scenario. But for someone who buys and holds, it's an extraordinary legally provided tax advantage that is simply sitting there unclaimed by most retail investors. That's how you access the 18% CAGR story without hemorrhaging 15% of it to a goldsmith upfront. Okay, chalo, gold was just the warm-up. Real estate, the Indian middle class's ultimate dream, the 2 BHK or 3 BHK that signifies you have made it. I want to be fair here upfront. Real estate in the right micro market, bought at the right time, has created genuine wealth. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but I'm going to show you what the actual math looks like for the average 2026 buyer. And this is where the story gets genuinely grim. Let's start with the affordability picture. In 2016, a household earning 10 lakh rupees per year could find a decent flat at roughly 4 to 5 times their income, 40 to 50 lakh rupees in most major cities. That existed. By 2026, with incomes grown to 18 lakh rupees in the same household, the comparable flat in that same city now costs 80 lakhs to 1 crore rupees. The price to income ratio has not stayed at 4 to 5 times, it has blown out to 6 to 8 times in major metros, and the EMI to income ratio for a new buyer is sitting around 60%. Collier's India Residential Outlook 2026. You're working harder, earning more, and you are further from home ownership than your parents were at your age. Now, let's actually run the numbers on a purchase. Standard middle class buy, 80 lakh rupees flat in Pune or Hyderabad. 20% down payment, 16 lakh rupees. Registration and stamp duty, roughly 5 lakh rupees. That is 21 lakh rupees out the door before you sign a single EMI check. Home loan, 64 lakh rupees. At current rates, let's use 8.75%, which is realistic for a good credit profile in 2026. Your EMI is approximately 56,500 rupees per month. Total EMI outflow over 20 years, roughly 1.36 crore rupees. Add maintenance charges, property tax, 2 decades of repairs, painting, plumbing, electrical work. Conservatively, another 16 lakh rupees across the loan tenure. And do not forget, when you eventually sell, brokerage and transaction costs run roughly 2% of sale value.
On a 3 crore rupees property, that is another 6 lakh rupees walking out the door at the end. Total real world outflow to own and then exit that flat, approximately 1.79 crore rupees. Now, your flat at 7% annual appreciation, actually generous given that market projections for 2026 are moderating to 5 to 7%, with the double-digit growth of last year unlikely to repeat, is approximately 3.1 crore rupees after 20 years. Net of selling costs, 3.04 crore rupees in your hand. Here is the number I want you to focus on. Not the gross profit, the actual annualized return on your real cash flows. If you run a proper XIRR, which accounts for the timing and size of every rupee in and every rupee out, on that sequence of cash flows, 21 lakh rupees upfront, monthly outflows for 20 years, 3.04 crore rupees inflow at the end. Your XIRR is approximately 5.3 to 5.5%. Not 9%, not 10%, 5.5%. Your savings account almost beats the flat. This is where it gets really interesting. Now I know exactly what you're about to type in the comments. Rohan, I still have to live somewhere. I can't invest the full EMI because I'm paying rent. Fair. Completely fair. So let's do the honest version. You rent a comparable 2 BHK in the same area for 20,000 rupees a month. That leaves you 36,500 rupees per month, your EMI surplus to invest. Rohan, rent goes up every year. Yes, it does, but so does your salary, and faster. Current CPI rent inflation is running around 4 to 5% annually. Average salary growth in India is running around 9%. That means your real purchasing power relative to rent is actually improving every year. If you step up your SIP by a modest 5% per year, well below your income growth, it comfortably absorbs the rent increases and then some. Run that through a Nifty 50 SIP at a 12% historical average with a 5% annual step up over 20 years. Your corpus lands at approximately 4 to 4.2 crore rupees. Compare that to your flat. 1.79 crore rupees spent, 3.04 crore rupees net in your hand, XIRR of 5.3 to 5.5%. The rent adjusted step up SIP wins by more than a crore. Before anyone raises the Section 24B argument, yes, the old tax regime allows a 2 lakh rupees deduction on home loan interest. I see you. That is real and it matters. But it does not close a 5.5% versus 12% gap. It nudges the property XIRR to perhaps 6.5% in a best case scenario. The SIP still wins, comprehensively. And for those of you who already own a home and are evaluating a second property, here's the scenario that applies to you. That 56,500 rupees EMI amount invested in full into a Nifty 50 SIP at 12% per year for 20 years delivers approximately 5.5 to 5.7 crore rupees, more than double the property outcome. Now, I want to be fully transparent here. That mutual fund corpus attracts LTCG at 12.5% on gains above 1,25,000 rupees per year when you redeem. Real number, it matters. But your real estate sale also attracts LTCG at 12.5% with no indexation benefit following the 2024 budget changes. If you roll the property gains into another residential property under Section 54, you get a limited exemption. But that locks your money into more real estate, which is somewhat circular. The tax picture on both sides is more level than most people assume. Post-tax, the equity corpus remains significantly larger. I'm not hiding the ball. This is where it gets really uncomfortable because I haven't even gotten to the most dangerous part of the 2026 real estate story. Look at who's actually buying property in India right now. The luxury segment above 1.5 crore rupees is booming. Affordable housing below 45 lakh rupees is collapsing in supply. The middle is getting hollowed out. Developers go where the margin is. The Colliers and Cushman and Wakefield 2026 Outlook reports both flag what they describe as a structural middle-class squeeze, where price appreciation in the 60 lakh to 1.5 crore rupees segment has far outpaced income growth for salaried buyers. So the family buying a 90 lakh rupees flat on a 15 lakh rupees annual salary, EMI consuming 60% of take home, is not making a confident investment decision. They are making a desperate social decision driven by fear. Fear of being permanently priced out, fear of judgment, fear that if they don't sign now, they never will. And I understand that fear. It is real. But financial decisions made from fear are almost always the most expensive ones you'll ever make. Look, I'm not telling you never to buy a home. Homeownership has genuine value, stability, emotional security, a roof your family can call their own. And I'll say something here that will probably surprise you. Real estate is genuinely excellent as a wealth preserver for the undisciplined. If you know yourself well enough to know that you'll cancel your SIP the moment you want to upgrade your car or because the market fell 15% and you panicked, then the forced lock-in of an EMI is legitimately valuable for you. The bank will not let you skip. That discipline has real financial worth. But real estate is a terrible wealth creator for the disciplined investor. If you have the systems and the self-control to stay invested through cycles, the math we just ran is your reality. Know which person you are. Honestly, that answer matters more than any spreadsheet I can show you. Here is the three-part framework I want you to leave with today. 1. Separate lifestyle from investment. Gold jewelry is a beautiful cultural tradition. A home is where your family lives. Own those decisions fully and joyfully, but stop recording them in your net worth as investment assets. 2. Run the honest rent versus buy XIRR before signing anything. Not just monthly EMI versus rent, the full cash flow picture. Upfront costs, 20 years of outflows, selling costs at the end, opportunity cost on your down payment. In most major Indian cities in 2026, that XIRR sits around 5.5%. Do that math, then decide. 3. If you want gold in your portfolio as an asset class, use sovereign gold bonds or gold ETFs. No making charges, no storage, no locker rent. And for original allottees going to maturity, 8 years, capital gains are completely tax-free. That's the 18% CAGR story accessed correctly with the maximum legal tax efficiency. Not a necklace in a locker that earns you 5.5%. Here's the thing that I think about the most. The real reason middle-class families stay stuck in these patterns is not ignorance. It's not lack of intelligence. The people making these choices are often extremely hardworking, extremely sharp individuals. The real reason is this. In India, visible wealth and actual wealth have been conflated for generations. Gold you can see, a flat you can point to, a mutual fund account. Nobody at the wedding is going to be impressed by your CAM statement. And so, we keep optimizing for visible wealth at the cost of real wealth. But here's what I want to leave you with today. The families in India who are quietly building extraordinary long-term wealth right now, not the ultra-rich, I'm talking about the genuinely financially secure middle class, they made a different decision at some point. They decided to stop trying to look wealthy and start trying to become wealthy. They started investing in index funds, diversified mutual funds, direct equity. They approached real estate as one tool among many, not the only tool. They kept gold at 5 to 10% of their portfolio for genuine diversification, not 60% of the net worth wrapped around their wife's neck. They got comfortable with invisible assets. And that discomfort, that feeling that your money isn't real because you can't hold it, that's exactly what the bank and the jeweler and the builder want you to feel, because your discomfort is their revenue. So the next time Mossy asks if you've bought gold or looked at a flat, and she will, she always does, you don't have to argue. You don't have to lecture her at a wedding. You just smile. But you'll know something she doesn't. You'll know that wealth is not about what you can show, it's about what you can compound. If this video made you see something differently today, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. And if you want a deeper dive, a full XIRR walkthrough for your specific city, or a step-by-step guide to building a diversified portfolio in 2026, drop it in the comments. I read all of them. I'll see you in the next one.